Hello again everyone, and a very warm welcome back to the channel. You join us today here at Marrakesh Menara Airport, created by Perfect Soft Studios. And for the first time, albeit very delayed, so a big apology to Wingflex, we're taking a look at the Wingflex FCU Cube for the A320s. So here we are alongside the WinWing FCU and EFIS kits that I love using, and their superb FMS style unit as well. We've got the Wingflex A320 FCU Cube, and already you can see some differences. It's actually more similar to the mini cockpit mini FCU that we had quite some time ago, but there are some differences for this compared to that. We're not going to use that today, but I have hooked it up to the power just so you can see the displays and you can compare the two. And we're here in the awesome Fenix A320 IAE powered Osprey Airways aircraft for today's service. So first up, the brackets down here, I would like to have a proper way to fix them. They are mounted via rubber, as you can see, but they also have the spinny wheels for brightness of the, not only the display of the actual unit, but that mirrors inside the flight deck as well, and that's something that the WinWing FCU doesn't have. Personally, it's not a feature that I'm super excited about, but I would like to see particularly a way to properly fix this to a desk or something like that. WinWing, for example, provide a whole load of sticky dots for you to mount the unit on. That's a nice touch. Doesn't cost very much more. Pricing wise, very similar. I think the Wingflex FCU Cube is slightly more expensive. So if I bring you to my second monitor, you can see here that's the price of the WinWing FCU. Currently, as I record this, 23rd of January 2025, £144 5p. You look at the Wingflex FCU Cube and it's $200. So quite a bit more expensive, but it does have, I'd say, a slightly nicer feel. But actually, realistically, I can't feel much difference. They feel like they're a little bit more tense on the spring, whereas there's a little bit more kind of finite input there on that unit. But as of today's exchange rate, it's effectively £20 more than the WinWing FCU. So 20 quid difference. Handy because it's slightly smaller, like the mini cockpit mini FCU. You've got less real estate taken up by this smaller unit compared to the WinWing, which is a 1:1 scale replica with the FCU and EFIS. You can see there that's the centerpiece and the left one only. Then my honeycomb Bravo, and it takes up quite a bit of real estate, whereas this is a fraction of the size. So just to show you in the sim, these little twizzly knobs underneath that we were having a look at a moment ago, if I rotate those, then it dims the screen. There's a little bit of lag on the actual rotary knob in the simulator, which is just there if you take a little look as I spin the wheel. So all the way closed, and that's still going. There we go. There's a little bit of a delay, but it's nice to have this kind of functionality, I suppose. So that's dimming the backlighting as well of the unit in the sim. But again, a slight delay. It's not really a feature I'm that hyped about. I have got to say the actual display itself is really crisp, and it's really quite nice. It's got a great colour scheme to it as well. In comparison to WinWing, which is a slightly cheaper unit, has a bit more of an older school A320 feel to it, but this is a little bit more modern looking, and yeah, it looks really good. Right, so for the purpose of today, we're going to set 6,000 feet for the initial climb, and that's there on the display for the sim as well. We want to make sure that's in managed mode, and we'll put constraints on to both sides of the EFIS kit. Basically, we're going to just prep the aeroplane for our departure. So all of that's going to be in managed mode. After takeoff, we'll press the autopilot 1 engage. And we should also get the auto throttle come online automatically. So we're going to now cut to departure. So in case you're wondering, this is Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 that we're using. It also works on Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 as well, in case you're using both still, like I am. So we've already done our pre-flight, all of our departure checks. We've got my charts all ready to go, and we are effectively just going to line up and depart straight away. Live weather, live time, but flying offline. Bit of a hill there to contend with. So lining up then, all of our checks are completed. Set 6,000 initially, but we're going to continue that climb up to 260, which is our cruise altitude for today. Charts ready to go, aircraft's configured, FCU Cube's ready to go, and so is the jet. So, without further ado, we're going to advance the throttles, pop the stick forwards a little bit, brakes off. 2 clicks, flex SRS, runway. Power set, speed's live. $80 knots. Releasing that nose wheel pressure. It's a 2 knot tailwind, 4 knot crosswind on the departure today out of Manara. For this short hop, V1 rotates, V2. Positive rate, gear up. A little bit choppy. And we work on the outbound turn like so, following those flight directors into the climb. Leave a climb. Let that nose come down. And now, autopilot 1 engage. Now the click there actually felt like a nice deep button. It was quite a nice feel, whereas this is a little bit more of a quick click. Now if I go really close to this, the actual lighting and the feel of the buttons is really good. So we're going to retract the flaps, disarm the ground spoilers, and do our after takeoff checks. We want to continue the climb up, so let's keep it going. Just going to have a little look at the jet at the same time as we spin the wheel here. Two 6. So latency wise, it's not as quick as WinWing, but there is very little noticeable delay nevertheless anyway between the units. Now one thing I do want to point out actually whilst we are in the climb here is the difference in size depth as well. So not only is the unit smaller, but like the mini cockpit mini FCU, it's quite deep in comparison to WinWing's FCU, which is actually not that deep at all. So when earlier on I spoke about real estate, whilst this unit from WinWing, yes, it is larger overall, it's not as deep. So in a way, there's a compromise regardless in relation to real estate, one way or another. We'll continue the flight over to Fes, bring us in over the Atlas Mountains. It would be really quite stunning, and we're going to experiment on the descent with some of the different modes here, like heading select mode, and of course the all-important approach button for the ILS. Now naturally, I want to kind of apologise in a way to the folks at Wingflex. They sent me this unit back in November 2024, but because of the puppy growing up, being really quite young at the time as well, I just haven't had the time to get round to it. So I've got this huge backlog of content that I'm still working towards, and I've got to thank them for their patience whilst I kind of get my ducks in a row to get some time to record these sorts of videos. Hardware reviews particularly take the longest amount of time to record, certainly with the cross editing between the GoPro and the sim. So typically this will take me 7 odd hours, 6 hours to film, edit, render and upload, and with that it creates its own unique problems having a puppy. So yeah, I have to apologise, but also thank the Wingflex team for not only sending me the unit for a open, honest, transparent, fair review as always, but also for their patience whilst I spend some time waiting to get this review finalised. Okay, so with 15 odd miles left to go to top of descent, we want to begin to configure the aeroplane's FCU for a managed descent using its fantastic VNAV in this. And we want to drop down with a continuous descent to 6,300, or even continuing that all the way down to 4,100. So I'm just going to spin the wheel straight down to 6, in fact let's do 4,100 like so. We'll stay in managed mode for now. And then what we can do is command the descent. So we go into managed descent a little early, just so that we lose the profile a little bit. And there goes the ball. And there's our expected kind of return to the VNAV path. We've got the Atlas Mountains on the right hand side, which will be really nice on the descent. And we can clear that because we've already done that. Yeah, so my biggest takeaways really is the button pushes feel a little bit more premium and a little bit more posh, so to speak, a bit more accurate. However, for the £20 worth of difference, I think the question really sits with how much real estate do you have and which one works best for you. I personally still prefer the WinWing option. It's £20 cheaper, it's got a bit of a thinner profile to it, albeit a bit longer, and even though the displays aren't as nice as this, I can live with that personally, and I prefer that functionality, especially because I've got now the WinWing PFP as well. Effectively, I can use just one piece of software instead of having to have the Wingflex bridge software for this, and then the WinWing software. It is worth noting actually as well that for around a month or so after I had this delivered, I tried a few times to get it installed, but the Wingflex bridge software keeps triggering as like a potential virus, whether that, albeit that's a false positive or there's a certification issue, it still doesn't give me total confidence in the product. And again today when I went to update the software for this, my Windows wanted to prevent the download, again once trying to state that it's a potential virus within the product's software. So that's just one thing I'm not massively confident on, and I'll continue not to be confident on until they sort out the certification. I want to be able to download something and not have a false positive at the end of the day, because I'm not techie enough to understand if it is a false positive or in fact if there's a virus on there. And look at the previous issues we've had with FS Labs installing malware on systems years ago on a previous simulator, and the hoo-ha surrounding that, and that still kind of burns into my mind a little bit when I see virus detection issues with products like this. So it's just something to bear in mind. A lot of you will still just download and install it anyway without too much of a fuss, but it's something I wanted to mention anyway because it's the biggest frustration when I've been trying to set this up, and for a month, like I said, I wasn't able to do anything with this because I just couldn't, no matter what I tried, I just couldn't install the software. what we're going to do as well is just trigger a little bit of heading mode. And you can see there we go into vertical speed as well, and that reaction was quite quick on the actual physical unit when the aircraft reverted across there as well. And then we can go back to managed heading track. They switch across quite nicely. Speed, Mac modes as well. They can flick between the two quite nicely as well. So we can pull that out like so. And we can change between the two modes quite effortlessly. Go back into managed mode accordingly as well. Now the WinWing FCU is currently kind of not faulting out, but it's not connected to the simulator because I'm using the Wingflex Cube. But because of that, everything's on like maximum brightness, and we've got all the 888s across the thing. So you can kind of compare the font and the brightness, the colour, the hue of all of the backlighting against this. And actually, there's very little difference. The actual font and the text, the numbers, are a little bit more yellow, but the backlighting is pretty much bang on the same, which is nice. So making the turn on to final, and beyond the VNAV being slightly off in this at the moment, we are getting through it quite nicely. Again, the frustration for me is the lack of fixation. It's got rubber strips underneath here, but they don't even stick onto anything, so it just means that you push it slightly, look, and it just moves about. So you do need to absolutely find a way to fix this to your desk or whatever it might be. Level miles, 180, gear down 3 green, and I've done that to just extend the amount of drag on the aircraft because we were quite slippy on the way in, and I'm going to now armed approach mode as well. Lockstar, Cat 3 single, coming up to 4,000 level, and we're going to arm autopilot 2 as well. We've already had cabin secure. Lap 2. Runways ahead. Missed approach is to 4,100, so I'm just going to set that. 160. Lap 3. Do 177. Full flap just before we capture the glide slope. So yeah, latency, nice and quick. There's a slight delay with some of the buttons, like the twizzleable knobs. It's not even a word, but you know what I mean. The rotatable knobs that change the display brightness, that sort of thing. But the actual selection of speed, heading altitude, that's quick enough. That's all you need. It's pretty much at the same time. Yeah, all round a really nice smart unit. It's a great price, certainly when you look at the mini cockpit mini FCU at £250. You know, this is almost £100 cheaper. So if you're looking for a unit to rival that, this is your beast. But my genuine kind of opinion is that, you know, if you want a bit of kit that's going to be competitively priced, really nicely made, and has got a great team designing some fantastic products for the simulators at the moment, which is expanding all the time, WinWing is your best bet. But either way, you can't go wrong with this Wingflex FCU Cube, and it's a matter of personal preference. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. You know, is this for you? Have you bought something else? Have you already got it? Have you found it? It's been out since sort of October, November 2024. If you already own the product, then share your thoughts down in the comments section below as well. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Brain's a bit full at the moment as I'm monitoring everything for the approach. 5 knot crosswind. And we'll end the video with a touchdown here at Site International in Fez, Morocco.
500.
Autopilot off, my controls. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in a live stream in the near future. But in the meantime,
30, 20, retard.
happy flying.
5.
He says with a floaty McGee. Take care.